That's me in 1976 with my girlfriend, Leslie, coming into New York City. Now, check it out. We're coming in to start our life together in the big city. She's staring ahead. She's gorgeous, happy. The city is beckoning her. She's delighted to be there. The city is pulling her. And look at the guy. He's got a lot of facial hair, a lot of curly hair, my grandmother's hair, which, as you can see, is all gone by now. She is beckoning him. He's not looking into the camera. He's looking at her. Now, later I'm going to talk about the power of user engagement. Not user experience, but user engagement, the power of aura, the power of beckoning. And I can think of no other better example than the power of love to illustrate that. And I want to start with that. Okay, next slide. VUCA. Now, we all know we live in an era of cascading change. I like to call it VUCA because it sounds good and it really exemplifies what we're talking about. VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity. What else is up there? Ambiguousness, or ambiguity would be a better one. And because we live in this state of VUCA, we all feel this way. We all feel like screaming. We don't know what to do. We're pulling our hair out. We don't know what to do. And what most of us do in business is to race around looking for the needs of our customers and trying to satisfy those needs. I would argue that there's a better business model, and that is to try and find the higher order wants of our people. Now, Frank Knight was a founder of the Chicago School of Economics. He's better known for options. He wrote this: the chief thing which the common sense individual actually wants is not satisfaction for the wants which he or she has, but more and better wants. More and better wants. I think that's what we should be focusing on. The key issue before us is knowing what is truly meaningful to people, understanding their higher order wants. And the key challenge ahead of us is satisfying those higher order wants, what is truly meaningful to people. That's what I call the process of creative intelligence. That's why I link creativity directly to capitalism, to economics, and why I think creativity really is the greatest generator of economic value. Now, I've been traveling around a lot. I've got a book out called Creative Intelligence. I'm hawking it everywhere. I've been to Microsoft, Google. I just came back from Norway talking to 400 Norwegian Nordic businessmen. Ate whale for the first time. Whoa, tasted very good. And I kind of know the models that people are using to deal with VUCA. There are like 3 of them. These are the 3 models of innovation that we're very accustomed to. I want to go through them and then suggest an alternative based on creative intelligence, an alternative model based on creativity. Let's go this way. Okay. Now, the first model of innovation that corporations tend to use is creativity as a gift. Basically, your tech companies, most companies, what you have are a lot of very smart people, usually engineers, researchers, whatever. They come up with something really interesting, okay, and they throw it over the wall to consumers. Along the way, you might have designers come in and some marketers come in. But basically, you're having smart people throwing it over the wall as a gift to consumers. And I've had researchers and engineers tell me, well, people don't know what they really want until we give it to them. And the fact of the matter is, in many cases, they're right. When you think of the major innovations over the last 30 years that have influenced our lives, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Match.com, Zipcar, they come from young entrepreneurs, basically, who embody the values and knowledge of their generation. And they succeed by mining the existential wants of their generation. And then they give as gifts to the rest of us these products and services. And if it works for us, that's fine. If it doesn't, well, they keep going. Now, this gift model, this creativity as gift, works when everyone embodies the culture and values of the person you're gifting. But, as Valentine's Day shows, we all remember Valentine's Day, right? Especially the guys. Even when you think you know the other person, your chances of success are not all that high. And the further you go away from people who embody your values, your knowledge, particularly of your generation, perhaps of your gender, the lower the chances of your success. Here's a great example, Google Glass. Now, if you're an engineer at Google, this is so cool, right? Totally cool. But if you're not an engineer at Google, this is not so cool. This is a real invasion of your privacy. Maybe. This may be a threat, right? You don't know what they're recording, your imagery, you don't know what she's seeing. So the further away you go from what the generation embodies in terms of values and knowledge, the lower the chances of success. So there are some real problems with this model of innovation. Here's another model of innovation. Creativity as a process. Now, this is probably the most widespread of the models of innovation around today. It flips the gift model around so that it starts with the user and then it goes back and finds a technology to satisfy the user needs or wants. And the other thing that it does, which I find really powerful, is that it moves away from the creativity, as the act of a lone genius. Okay? It moves creativity into the realm of creativity as collaboration, creativity as social. And that's very, very powerful. Yet, we know that there are limits to this model as well. Brainstorming, for example, which is a very basic part of this process. Well, we now know that putting a bunch of people in a room and coming up with 100 ideas or 1,000 ideas in a blizzard of yellow stickies doesn't usually lead to breakthrough innovation. Sometimes incremental innovation, that's okay, but rarely breakthrough innovation. And often the process itself can be quite esoteric and quite alien. And you know, the net result is, this is a killer number. Only 9% of private and public US corporations do any kind of product or service innovation. Only 9%. So something is wrong with these models. Something is very wrong with these models. There's a third model, I want to do this briefly, creativity as helping. This is social innovation. Very popular in business schools these days, certainly in design schools. I teach at Parsons. All my students want to do creativity as helping. That's a great idea. There's some problems with that in terms of scaling and impact, but it's fine. So I wanted to go from these three models and suggest something else. There are old dogmas and what I call new dogmas, some new ideas. Just take a moment to go through this. Just read that. I think, let's see, it's on your right. I think the new dogmas are richer and deeper concepts. I think we need to go from user experience to user engagement. We need to go from efficiency to uncertainty, not in all cases, but in some cases. Certainly if you're looking for creativity. I think we need to go from the story, which we all use, to something called the narrative, which has context and meaning. Okay? Take a quick look at that. I think these ideas can be used to build new model. New model based off creative intelligence. Okay? Let me go through what I call the 5 competencies, the 5 creative competencies of creative intelligence. And the first one is knowledge mining. I think actually most of you in this room are in the mining business. You're mining the existential in life in search of what is meaningful to people. Branding, for example, is really the commodification of meaning. I'm going to repeat that. Branding is the commodification of meaning. So we need to prospect for meaning. And we need to take what we find. We need to take what we find and connect it. Creativity isn't very complex. Actually, creativity in the end is connecting 2 or 3 dots of information. It's lateral. It's relational. So let me play a game that I play with my class that I think brings this out. Here we go. What do you get when you connect finance, Gen Y demographic, and social media technology? Mint. What do you get when you connect cars, a new sharing value system, not owning, plus social media technology? Zipcar. What do you get when you connect patronage of the arts with crowdsourcing and entrepreneurship? Okay, Kickstarter. How many people here know Kickstarter? Okay. We'll talk about Kickstarter, very powerful in a little bit. So I want to repeat, this kind of creativity isn't rare. Okay? We could all do it. We should all be doing it. A lot of us do it anyway. We don't even think of this in terms of creativity. This is the essence of creativity. It's very practical. You can train for it. You can train for it just like a sport. You can train for it. A little bit more. What do you get when you connect selling books, cheap prices, and online technology? Okay. What do you get when you connect listening to music, the sharing, and social media technology? Right? It's not too hard. My favorite, what do you get when you connect looking for girls, sharing, and social media technology? That's how it started. And it was as simple as that, at least according to the movie. Okay. Of course, there are other ways of connecting. Immersion. We all know about 10,000 hours of immersion. Sometimes it only takes 20 minutes. Check this video out.
Okay.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so that's little Zoe. She was 4 years old. It was last summer out at my beach house in Montauk. Her parents were out barbecuing, playing. They left her with me, and we played for about 3 seconds. She got bored really fast. Now, you know, I teach at Parsons. Half of Parsons is a fashion school. One of the things I've learned there that all the great runway shows by all the great designers are on YouTube. So as a babysitting measure, I began showing some YouTube videos to Zoe. Alexander McQueen, by the way, which really pissed off her mother. Within 20 minutes, okay, Zoe learned what you just saw. Within 20 minutes of immersing herself in runway culture, which is really theater, it's kabuki, she learned the walk, right? She had the hands on the hips, she got the face. She got that blank face, and then she got the flip, all right? So immersion is really important in terms of getting knowledge, of mining knowledge, and sometimes it only takes 20 minutes. Usually, however, it takes a lot longer. Okay. These are Chinese gamers, most of them boys. And this research was done by Ziba out in Portland, a great, great innovation consultancy. Now, Ziba did research for Lenovo, the Chinese computer company, great client, I understand. It sent 12 researchers, I got to read this, 12 researchers around China for 3 months, spending 205 days or 5,000 hours of immersion gathering and analyzing data, formulating personas to come up with 5 different kinds of tribes, of groups, of gamers, okay? 5,000 hours. My question is to you, is Fidelity doing 5,000 hours of immersion in all kinds of different cultural groups, demographic groups at this time? Okay, are they? I really don't know. Framing is my second creative competence. Very, very powerful, perhaps the most powerful of the creative competences that I talk about. Two types of framing. You frame your narrative, the story of you, the story of your company, okay? The meaning of you, the meaning of your company. If you frame, if you understand that you're framing something, you can also change that frame. You can change that frame to yourself, and of your company. You can change your frame in different contexts, to different groups, to different cultures. That's narrative framing. There's a second kind of framing. It's called engagement framing. It's how we frame our engagements. Now, we used to be born into all our, my New Yorkies just came out. We used to be born into our engagements, you know, family, church, whatever. Now we create our engagements. You're on Facebook, you're on Twitter, social media. You're creating dozens and dozens of engagements. You frame them all. You can reframe them. You can reframe them. I'm going to play a little bit of a movie from Zero Dark 30. One of my favorite movies. It got robbed at the Academy Awards. Take a look at this.
What else have you done for us besides Bin Laden?
I've done nothing else.
The movie takes you behind the scenes on the decade-long hunt that led to finding the world's most dangerous man.
I want to make something absolutely clear. There's nobody else coming to the rescue. There was just us.
No one really knows what it's like to disappear into the shadows as a CIA operative in that part of the world.
I need a favor.
Why I should help you?
How come you only call me when you need help?
How about a V10 Lamborghini? I just need a phone number.
There were a lot of people across the world involved in the hunt for bin Laden.
We're within 10 meters of it. He's here somewhere.
We couldn't capture every aspect of that, but we tried to capture the scope.
He's called from 6 different payphones from 2 different cities, never using the same phone twice.
The Al-Qaeda operative's behavior was so specific and designed to avoid detection that it led the CIA to them.
He's living in a city. You can't run a global network of interconnected cells from a cave.
They were
Okay, you got me in mid-action. Hold on. Couple of things. One, you have Tony Soprano as the head of the CIA there, questioning the women analyst. You know, what have you done? Why should we listen to you? And she said, I've done nothing. 10 years she spent, 10 years of immersion, learning the patterns of Osama bin Laden and Al-Qaeda. 10 years, okay? What I really love about this bit of the movie is that before she came on the scene, Maya, the narrative frame of the CIA for Osama was that he was living in a cave. He was inaccessible. He was far away. And yeah, you could drop a bomb on him or whatever, but you really couldn't get to him. She said, no, wait a minute. She reframed that narrative. She said, he's running an international organization based on information, data. You can't do that in a cave. Where do you do that? Probably in a city, all right? Then she also reframed their engagement. Before, they engaged with the suicide bombers that came out to kill people. Very natural. She said, what? If he is dealing with information, look for the couriers who bring him information. She reframed the CIA's engagement with Osama. Both of those things led to his capture. Okay? The other thing I really like about this is that in the clip, there's a CIA guy who's trying to get some information from one of his informants, and he offers him a D10 Lamborghini. Okay? He didn't offer him money or sex or a BMW. He knew that this guy, in his culture, whatever, wanted a D10 Lamborghini. He knew what was meaningful to him, and it worked. Okay? Terrific. Okay, on to my third, if I could get this up. Playing. Serious play is a very powerful creative competence. Now, we're all used to problem solving, but you know, problem solving assumes that you know the problem and that there's a solution. Today, we don't even know what the problem is, much less the solution. There are many solutions. I like serious play for one particular reason: unexpected outcomes. Okay? You can win in many different ways. You can play in many different ways. Serious play is a very powerful creative tool. Very powerful creative tool. Quick story, Tetra Pak. Tetra Pak, you know, all know Tetra Pak, you drink the stuff, it's wonderful, it was a great innovation at the time. Tetra Pak was designed for people drinking sitting down. You try drinking from a Tetra Pak while you're walking, odds are you're going to splash it all over yourself. But people have changed. They want to drink walking around. They want to listen to their radio. They want to do everything walking around. The way they do it, here's an example of kids. They tend to drink through bottles. Bottles are a better vehicle for drinking walking around than Tetra Pak. Tetra Pak had to redesign the bottle. So they went to a great innovation company right here in Boston called Continuum. Continuum is a pearl. It's one of the world's best innovation companies. And it's run by a guy named Harry West. Now, Harry said, look, you just can't hire us. You have to come and play with us. You have to be here. You Swedish engineers have to come and do the research with us. You have to do the iteration with us. You have to do everything. You have to be here for the unexpected outcome. Because if we just give it to you, you're not going to want it. So,
Go.
it's a little disgusting, but it's short.
Did you drink anything?
Yep.
Go.
All right, that's enough of Harry. That's Harry West, the CEO of Continuum, doing his research on drinking. And what do they find? They find that, let me go back there. Suck, pour, pull. We drink 3 different ways, especially when we're walking. Some of us put our lips right around the entire bottle and suck it. Some put it on the bottom and pour it. And some, I was in Carroll recently, people drink by pouring it right down, you know, without touching. It's fantastic, all right? As a result of this research, they came up with this. This is a new bottle cap. You can drink from this walking without dripping all over yourself. Now, this is really, take a look at this. It goes over the edge, right? This is out of the box. The Swedish engineer said, you can't come up with an innovation that's outside the box. It had to be on top of the box. They came up with this. And because they were all there to play together, this unexpected outcome was accepted by Tetra, and they've now gone on to roll it out. It's going to be a $1 billion product, right? Continuum did Swiffer, another $1 billion product. They're really very, very powerful. Okay. Making is another huge, huge creative competence. We're in a revival of the making culture for lots of different reasons. We have 3D technology, printing, we have Kickstarter, we have social media crowdsourcing, and we have a change in values. People want to make now. They want to participate, especially my students, especially Gen Y, wanted to participate in everything that they do. I have a really good quote here. Bear with me. Yeah. Gen Y value shifts toward demanding direct personal participation in everything from genes to finance. For my students, it's not about choosing which mutual funds to buy. It's about designing their own funds with their friends and actively participating as a group in investing. That's what they want to do. I've asked them to model their own financial needs. That's what they come up with. That's what they want. Are you providing that? Should you be providing that? You know, in 10 years, most of us will be off stage. Gen Y will be dominant. Okay. Final slide, almost. Pivoting, scaling. To be truly creative, you have to pivot from creativity to actual creation. You must scale your original concepts. Now, in terms of organizational creativity, this is really important. Most creativity in large organizations takes place in what I call magic circles. Small groups of people, 2, 3, 4, 5, not hordes of people, and it's not about serendipity. It's about people who know each other, who trust each other. They are creating in magic circles. And a lot of this is off organizational charts, right? But people who create tend not to have the skills to scale. You've got to match the creators with scalers. And I call the scalers in my book wanderers. If you look at the history of HP and labs everywhere, Bell Labs, you find lots of really brilliant laboratories connected by people who come to them, who curate their creativity and then provide them with the resources to scale, financing, networking, whatever. In terms of organizational capacity to create, knowing where your magic circles are and connecting them to wanderers who can scale, absolutely critical. Absolutely critical. Bear with me. We'll leave that alone and end on this word. These are the concepts, I think, that are very rich in terms of creativity. They're new. They're different from the ones that we're used to. The one that I realize is not here is the one that's from the very first slide, which is love. In everything we do, in all the things that we create, the one most powerful thing to remember is that people want to be connected. They want to be engaged. Whatever product and service we make has to beckon people. It has to pull them in, and it has to keep them there forever. So the cute little girl who came to New York with me, she's still my wife. And I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much.